Hi, welcome to the first screen recording that I'm going to do. This is of the front panel of the digipak. This is one of the main images that we're going to use on the digipak. So this is the final image, but there's actually 3 separate Photoshop files to create this image, with one file being the main one. So this is the final image, and I'm going to show you how I created that. So I'm just going to take you back one step, and this shows just, I don't know if you can see the difference there. It's very, very slight, just some of the little touching up, especially around here and here, and then in the hair here. I'll just get one small for you. There, and to there. Okay, so although that's very slight, this was just using the clone tool stamp, which is here, and you click on it, and when you press Alt, you select your area, and then it allows you to draw and fill in certain gaps. I also used the spot healing brush for this, which works in the same way, and I also used the smudge tool. And I'm now going to take you to the main image, which is this one here. So as you can see, this looks a little bit more rough and ready. Excuse me while I just get a tissue. I'm struggling with cold at the moment. Give me 1 second. I promise I won't blow my nose. That's a bit embarrassing, I suppose, isn't it? Okay, so sorry about that. Back to it. So this is created using millions of layers, basically. I think in total it came to 160. For this we also used various groups in order to group sections and make it easier and more organised. This came in handy later on, especially when using the digipak. These skills allowed me to keep my work a lot more organised, and also allowed me to keep everything together in certain folders. So just going to scroll back down to the bottom, so I'll just undo a couple of these layers for you at first. Okay, so unfortunately I can't get rid of all the hair because that would mean going through all of this and it would just take far too long, but I'll go through it bit by bit just to show you. So background layer, simple white background. Next layer I chose is the this layer. So unfortunately you can see the hair through it, which is what I'll do is I'll just take off some of these big bits here just so you get the general gist. Okay, so this is the main image, which we transformed and made into black and white. So on the shortcut on Mac it's Command Shift U, and on Windows it's Control Shift U. So we made this black and white, and this created, sorry, don't know which one, not this one, it was this one, but what we also did was use the selection tool to select the lips, and then we erased that out so the true lip colour came through. As you can see, this shoulder is quite damaged in comparison to its counterpart, and it loses the effect of the jacket, especially when the jacket to us was very important. So I used the quick selection tool, which is here, same one that I used for the lips, and dragged, don't know if it's going to let me, yes it is, that's very good of you. Selected it, I put this into a new document, copied and pasted it over, reversed the image, so reversed the canvas so it switched over, and recreated, I'll just undo these for you just to show you what it then created. It created this. I then blended this using this blending and smudging tool here, a little bit of blurring I think as well, just so it didn't look as harsh, as the edges were quite harsh at one point. So this neatened it up and also gave it the symmetrical and similarity from the other side, as you can see there. I erased the lips as well. There we go, lips are back on, and let's put the background there. Right, so just let me deselect that. I then added various bits of newspaper. These were scanned bits of newspaper. I put them into the scanner, imported them into Photoshop, and then turned them black and white. So I made these group folders first. So this is done by selecting a bit of hair using this magic wand tool. It then selects a chunk of hair, and I press this button here, which, oops, just Command and Z that. I also needed to make a new folder, so this is group 46, and then within that you select it. So as you can see here, this is the same piece, so this is group 1, and when you open it up you can see there's various different layers of newspaper. So when you drag the bits of newspaper across, it does automatically create a new layer, so you don't have to use this button here, as this is the new layer button. So then once you've done that, let me just delete this, otherwise it's going to get very confusing. When you do this, you get that. Unfortunately there was a little bit of overlapping, but there wasn't a lot we could do about that, because otherwise we'd miss out on certain sections. This was because the magic wand tool isn't as accurate and precise for what we wanted, and it's almost too precise, as it goes in and picks out such fine details that it because it chooses it by colour and colour selection. Because some pieces were the same, it does duplicate them, and this is why we get these sort of darker areas. But to be honest, I think it adds to the image, and I think it adds some sort of tone to the hair and gives it a bit of texture. I think if it was all one shade it would be quite dark. And so this is the same throughout. So you then reselect another piece, and that's selected a face. Unfortunately this is a problem that I came across one too many times, and then you make a new folder again, you select this mask tool, which then creates this. You then add the layers of newspaper, which then creates this. Just Command Z that, and then you just keep adding bits of newspaper. You can see how they're all coming together on the piece. Now this is the supposed final image, like so. Now this doesn't really look like the final image that is the official one. So then I took it into the next stage, and now as you can see around the edges here it's quite blurry, it's not sort of the best look. The arms are a little bit jagged, the hair looks a bit rough and not doesn't have the sheen and the professionalism that it should. So I neatened this up. I did this by a lot of careful erasing. It took a very long time, especially to get the jacket sort of straight. Sometimes you would have to erase quite big chunks in order to make it straight, but then because you'd taken such a big chunk out of one area and made another area okay, you'd sometimes have to use the clone tool and clone bits in. So from this you can still see that there's little tiny patches in and amongst the hair where it's not absolutely perfect, and it does look a bit odd. It doesn't have that finished finished feel. So I then touched this up just a little bit more just to give it that extra sheen, and that's how I created the front image on the digipak.